The only local news teams taking action for you. KIMA Keeper Action News starts now.
Coming up this morning on Action News, the City of Yakima's Financial Services Department has a new director. Filling the seat that's been vacant since the beginning of the year. We'll introduce you to him. Plus, a family-owned hot yoga studio is planning on opening its doors this weekend. Experienced teachers and a variety of courses. The owner says their main goal is to be inclusive and meet people where they are. And later in the show, regional news. We talk deflection programs in the Beaver State, which offer treatment instead of jail time to drug offenders. We'll take a look at those programs as drug possession is once again illegal in Oregon. That story and more coming up as you start your day with us right here on Action News. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm Dave Furtado.
And I'm meteorologist Jefferson Donovan.
And Jefferson, it got a little wet in the overnight hours. As I was coming in, I couldn't help but notice, some of that water kind of coating the roads here.
Sure, but I will say in the Tri-Cities, we widely escaped some of that thunderstorm activity. Yesterday was quite the active day of weather across the inland Northwest. We did see some very strong thunderstorms for some of us. In Yakima and Ellensburg, we saw some very strong thunderstorms during the overnight hours. And then, like I was mentioning yesterday evening, we saw some very strong thunderstorms, especially through Umatilla County, working into Walla Walla County. In fact, Pendleton yesterday did record a wind gust of near 60 miles an hour associated with one of those thunderstorms. In the Tri-Cities, to get a little bit technical, the thunderstorm activity yesterday was what is known as an inverted V setup. So it was kind of dry lightning. These thunderstorms did not produce as much rainfall as they could have. So we mostly did see lesser rainfall amounts than we normally would have in a standard thunderstorm kind of scenario. So that did contribute to also gusty winds and an inverted V setup. So if you spent any time outdoors around 8 o'clock last night, it got quite windy. Now, as we look out in Yakima this morning, you can see the weather cam maybe bouncing around a little bit. It's still a bit breezy in Yakima this morning. 15-mile-an-hour winds as we sit at 70 degrees this morning. Here's a look at your weather headlines. We are still holding on to some lingering showers and thunderstorms this Tuesday morning. Blue skies and seasonal temperatures will be in store by this afternoon, and then our attention will turn to high heat returning by Thursday. I'll continue to break down your weather forecast coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. We begin this morning in Yakima County. One child has died after a fatal crash this weekend. Troopers from the Washington State Patrol say at around 4 p.m. Sunday, they responded to a crash on I-82 heading towards Yakima in Kittitas County. They say a van tried to change lanes and hit a truck with a trailer. The van carrying 3 people was totaled, and one of those passengers was 10-year-old Sergio Fernandez Granados, who was pronounced dead at the scene. Authorities tell us no alcohol or drugs were considered to be a factor, citing the official cause of the crash as improper lane travel. A shooting on Sunday left a man in the hospital. While not much is known at this time, according to the Sunnyside Police Department, they responded to the 1000 block of East Decatur Avenue just after 11 Sunday night, following a report of shots being fired. Arriving officers found a 33-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the chest. He was taken to the hospital and is in stable condition. Officials are still investigating, but they say they have several leads. And sticking in Yakima County, starting today, the city has a new finance and budget director. Viren Mayani is stepping into the position that's been open since the beginning of the year. Mayani worked for the city of Atlanta from 2006 to 2010 as a business manager to the executive offices of the mayor. In recent years, he has worked as a consultant for startups and nonprofits, and he will replace Mark Roberts, who resigned from the role in January. His job in Yakima will be to oversee 35 employees in the financial services, purchasing, and utility services divisions. A new hot yoga studio is opening its doors this week in West Richland. Trinity Hot Yoga is a family-owned studio that will offer a variety of styles and classes, from beginners courses to a high-intensity workout. Over 25 classes a week will be offered. 7 experienced teachers will host classes in one of 2 rooms, an infrared heated room that reaches 105 degrees or a warm studio maintained at 80 degrees.
What we're really doing is trying to create a space for the community that feels like they can come in here as beginners or somebody that's been practicing yoga for a really long time. Our main goal is to make this inclusive, to make it feel special. I want you to walk in the door and just feel this peace when you walk in, and also know that we have teachers that I believe are the best teachers in Tri-Cities, and I'm so proud to have them here at Trinity.
Trinity will host a grand opening this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. For location, class schedules, and more details, head over to our website, keepertv.com. Now, most of us enjoy having a Monday off every September, but why is that so? Well, Labor Day was established as a federal holiday back in 1894. The holiday is meant to pay tribute to the contributions of American workers and often symbolizes the end of summer for many. In the 19th century, people of all ages were facing unsafe working conditions and often working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Labor unions began organizing strikes and riots, which often turned violent. And what started the Labor Day parade tradition was in 1882, when 10,000 workers in New York City took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square. They called it the working man's holiday. And in an attempt to repair ties with American workers, President Grover Cleveland signed the holiday into law in 1894. A little tidbit of information there related to the Labor Day holiday.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Yeah, you and I didn't get yesterday.
Yeah, no, we did not. And you pulled a double. So
yes, I did.
Woof, that's a long day. Let's jump right over to weather, though, because you had it. You were able to talk about, especially the last night winds, right? It was pretty hefty. I could feel it, gusting in my apartment because I had the windows open.
Yeah.
Are we experiencing similar winds this morning, or are we going to experience those winds at all in the next couple of days?
Well, what I will say is that winds are going to be on a decreasing trend throughout today. We are still, we're not dealing with the same mode of winds that we were seeing last night. Last night, the winds were caused primarily by decaying thunderstorms in the Tri-Cities. Right now, we are just under the influence of an upper-level low that is very close to our forecast area, so we're still a bit breezy this morning, but winds will be on a decreasing trend as that low does move out of the forecast area. In general, by the time we get to this afternoon, it is going to be a nice and seasonal day with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s under partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies, but then our attention is going to turn to some very high heat as we get towards the end of the week. We'll talk about when temperatures will near 100 degrees coming up.
Thanks, Jefferson. The time now is 5:07. Coming up on Keeper KIMA this morning, arrests have been made 3 days. Arrests have already been made, 3 days after drug possession was outlawed in the Beaver State. As those arrests happen, some counties will give them a chance to avoid jail time by going to treatment. In about 2 minutes, we'll take a look at those programs. But later in the show, top stories. In Israel, pressure is mounting for a ceasefire and hostage release deal, coming just days after the bodies of 6 hostages were found, one of them an Israeli American. President Biden telling reporters Netanyahu isn't doing enough. And in health news, researchers hope a major breakthrough will one day lead to personalized treatments for children with blood diseases. Researchers say they've reprogrammed human blood cells. That's just a peek of what's to come this morning. Stay with us. There's plenty more news and weather ahead. We're just getting started.